For 3 weeks, the jury heard whispers. In the fourth, the whispers got a name: Marion Suge Knight. From a prison phone, he growled, "Everybody knew Puffy's appetites." It wasn't a confession, more like a warning. If the court wants the dirt, dig deeper than one man. But behind the headline, another game is unfolding, one where hotel corridors, Instagram reels, and a 100 grand USB drive might decide whether Sean Diddy Combs walks free or spends life counting iron bars. But to see why Suge's voice matters in 2025, we have to rewind to a night lit by muzzle flashes and magazine covers. In 1996, Las Vegas police counted 13 bullet holes in Suge Knight's black BMW. One of them finished Tupac Shakur. 6 months later, Brooklyn mourned Christopher Wallace. 2 ghosts, 2 labels, 1 feud. Death Row against Bad Boy twisted hip-hop into a battlefield. Fast forward 3 decades and those street corners echo in a sterile Manhattan courtroom. Prosecutors introduce Knight's name again and again, 50-plus mentions so far, not to blame the murders but to frame a culture, a climate where intimidation was job one and silence the house rule. What Suge offers now is context. If everyone in the 90s saw Combs as a party king, whose parties sometimes turned predatory, then, Knight argues, the feds can't pretend this is shocking news. Only finally prosecutable news. Yet no rivalry story, not even a drive-by epic, hits as hard as the voice that trembled on May 16th. Cassie stepped into court clutching a tissue, 6 months pregnant with her 3rd child by someone else. She'd met Diddy at 19, signed to his label, and she says, signed away her freedom in the same breath. For 4 days, she unfolded a diary of private jets rerouted to freak-off marathons, hotel rooms stocked with baby oil and ecstasy, and a birthday where she begged for karaoke but got coerced sex instead. When prosecutors played the leaked 2016 hallway clip, Combs towel-clad, dragging her by the hair, jurors leaned forward. One clasped his mouth. Cassie called that moment typical. She said the bigger horror wasn't the kicks, it was knowing cameras rolled and he didn't care. But Cassie's pain wasn't the court's only compass. Next came the people paid to protect his image and allegedly to bury his crimes. Mia, still anonymous, described 100-hour work weeks and a Turks and Caicos escape on paddleboards. After a night, she says, turned violent. Capricorn Clark recalled being kidnapped by Combs and told, if you're still Suge's girl, I gotta kill you. David James drove the SUV when Combs armed hunted Knight at Mel's Diner. All 3 testified that prepping freak-off suites was as routine as ordering coffee, rose petal paths, hidden phone baskets, a travel kit of meds. By week 4, prosecutors had stacked an entire entourage into an alleged criminal enterprise. Mia's cross-examination turned brutal. The defense flashed her Instagram feed. Smiling selfies, glowing captions about love, love, love. She answered, voice cracking, that she was brainwashed, posting the highlight reel Combs demanded. Yet perhaps no testimony shook the gallery like the man who said he was offered a suitcase of cash to erase the truth frame by frame. Eddie Garcia, a hotel security officer, told jurors he first thought the request was a joke. Mr. Combs wants the hallway video. The clip showed him throwing, kicking, and stomping Cassie. Garcia passed the ask to his supervisor. $50,000 changed hands. Days later, Combs doubled the payout personally, sealing the USB in a Louis Vuitton pouch. Garcia said he kept quiet for 9 years until subpoenas forced his story. The drive never resurfaced, yet the CCTV leak still found daylight in 2024, fueling public outrage that nudged the Justice Department to indict. Prosecutors called the payoff racketeering in miniature, proof that money wasn't just power, it was bleach for any stain that might smear the brand. And bleach, the feds argue, was poured liberally. On drug buys, on burned cars, on witnesses who suddenly remembered loose NDAs. Racketeering demands 2 pillars, an enterprise and a pattern of crimes. Here, the enterprise is Combs plus anyone on his payroll. The pattern spans 20 years. Witnesses testified to bribery to quash footage, ecstasy binges that blurred consent, and a Miami studio torched after a producer refused edits. One ex-bodyguard swore he ferried duffel bags of pills across state lines. Another said she wiped blood off a yacht deck after a guest OD'd. Not all of it is ironclad. Jurors still haven't seen hard proof of the rumored arson, but prosecutors keep piling bricks, betting weight will substitute for nails. Defense lawyer Brian Steele calls the case a tabloid collage. He points at texts where witnesses praise Combs, vacations he paid for, raises he granted. He tells jurors, the government wants you to criminalize generosity. That strategy hit a wall last Wednesday when Judge Subramanian clipped a bid for mistrial in a single sentence. First, the team argued racial bias, that federal agents wouldn't chase a white tech mogul for identical allegations. Judge Subramanian disagreed, noting severity drives prosecution, not identity. Next came the mistrial plea. The jury pool was poisoned by social media frenzy. The judge shot it down before lunch. Outside court, Suge Knight told ABC cameras, let Puffy tell his truth, don't just throw him in the fire pit. Yet insiders whisper that Knight's sympathy masks strategy. He's still eyeing civil suits over unpaid royalties, and a convicted rival is easier to sue than a free-spending mogul. Beyond tactics, though, the trial widens a different lens. The Atlantic called it a conspiracy, but not the one people expected. No secret Illuminati cabal, just the same old power imbalance magnified by platinum records. Cassie's tears, Mia's Instagram highlight reel, even Suge's prison ennui expose an ecosystem that let charisma trump consent. Behind every hit single stood assistants too scared to quit and bodyguards too loyal or too broke to refuse hush money. Social feeds swirl with wild theories, politicians, pop divas, even royal families named, but prosecutors keep the lens tight. Sean Combs, his staff, and the women who say they lost autonomy in his orbit. And that brings us to the ticking clock of week 5. One more ex-girlfriend, identity sealed, waits in the wings. Prosecutors say her testimony will cap their case by June 12th. Then the defense steps up, promising celebrity character witnesses and a deep dive into Combs' rehab records to recast decades of alleged abuse as consensual excess. If jurors accept the RICO map, Combs faces a mandatory 15 years with life on the table. If they balk, they could split the verdict. Guilty on sex trafficking counts, not on the enterprise, or vice versa. Either way, the legacy of Bad Boy Records has already warped. Platinum plaques now double as exhibits. Suge Knight once said record execs play chess with real people. In week 4, the pieces talked back: an ex-girlfriend, an assistant, a hotel guard, even the boogeyman from death row. Whether the verdict stamps guilty or not, the shadow cast over hip-hop's glittering 1990s suggests the game was never just about music. It was about what power lets you hide and what happens when the curtain finally rips. Stay tuned, the next move could rewrite more than one man's fate.